Ever feel like you're just a little behind? Like some of these online businesses, they just get it, you know? They're making it look easy, raking it in, and you're stuck wondering, what's the secret sauce?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, today we're diving into a story that's all about cracking that code.
Okay, love it.
The story of YITH, you've probably heard of them. They're like WooCommerce royalty at this point.
Absolutely.
We're going to break down how they went from this small web design agency tucked away in Italy to a global powerhouse. I mean, we're talking over 300,000 websites using their stuff.
It's incredible. And what's really fascinating is their journey is something a lot of people listening can learn from, right? It's not some overnight success story. It's strategic. It's about the steps they took, especially early on.
Oh, for sure. And it's easy to look back now like, oh yeah, YITH, they made it big. But there were smart moves along the way. It's not just luck. So rewind with me for a sec. Early 2000s, picture Nando Pappalardo. He's our guy, the founder, just a regular web designer in Italy. Starts out with this small agency. Your Inspiration Web, it was called.
Catchy.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets interesting, right? Because Nando wasn't just off building websites in a vacuum. He was working directly with small businesses day in, day out. So he's seeing the challenges these businesses face trying to sell online.
Oh, he was in the trenches, for sure.
Big time.
So he's watching all these entrepreneurs struggling, especially with WooCommerce. And keep in mind, this is 2011. WooCommerce is just getting going, finding its feet.
The early days. So much potential, but also lots of figuring things out as they went.
Exactly. So what does Nando do? This is where the story really takes off.
He sees the opportunity. I mean, think about it. Who understands the problems better than the guy who's down in it every day? Nando realizes these businesses, they don't need just another theme or some generic plugin. They need specialized tools, solutions for the unique things online stores were struggling with.
Okay, so instead of trying to be everything to everyone, he saw a chance to be the HE go-to for those specific needs.
You got it.
Ah, okay, so that's where the name comes from. Your inspiration themes. Makes sense. But they weren't content with just, like, themes, right? There was a bigger vision brewing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they started with themes, sure, but they quickly pivoted to plugins for WooCommerce. And this is where their understanding of the market, it really shines. Think about it, right? Early days of WooCommerce.
It was like the Wild West out there.
Right. Total gold rush. Everyone's setting up shop, trying to stand out. But the tools, the really specific things these businesses needed, they just weren't there yet. And why I saw that gap, like, we can own this.
So instead of being a jack of all trades, they're going to be the master of these essential WooCommerce tools.
Exactly. They doubled down on high-quality plugins that solved very specific problems. Not reinventing the wheel, just doing it better, like inventory management, for example.
Oh, God, yeah. Can you imagine, before that, trying to run a store without knowing what you even have in stock?
A nightmare. But before YITH, that was the reality for a lot of WooCommerce users. Or another example, think about product customization, letting shoppers personalize what they're buying.
Right. Adding a monogram, picking their color, all that.
Yep. Seems obvious now, but back then, huge deal. And YITH, they nailed it.
So those features, they weren't just standard back then. I feel like we take that for granted now.
Oh, a totally different landscape now. WooCommerce itself has evolved like crazy since 2011. But that's the thing about YITH. They weren't chasing the shiny new object. They focused on what people needed, what their users were struggling with, and then they just delivered. Quality was huge for them.
They were solving real problems. Seems so simple, but you and I both know so many businesses miss that.
It's everything. But even with great products, that's only half the battle, right? YITH's real genius was how they structured their business and built their community.
Oh, now this is the good stuff. This is where we go from cool story to, okay, I can actually use this.
Exactly. This is where things get really interesting.
All right, lay it on me. What were these two magic strategies? Two things that took them to the next level?
Okay, so get this, because it's kind of simple, but so smart. First, subscriptions. They went all in on the subscription model early on.
Okay, so not like buy it once, but more like what we're used to now. Monthly fee, access to everything.
Exactly. Think about it. For the customer, it's way less risky than dropping a huge chunk of change up front, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And for YITH, predictable income, month after month,
Yeah.
which is huge GE, especially when you're growing fast. That stability, it let them invest in quality long-term, no cutting corners. And that leads right into their second genius move.
Let me guess. It's the community. They always seem so big on that.
Bingo. From day one, they put so much energy into building a real community around their products. They understood that their success was tied to their user success.
It wasn't just, here's the plugin, good luck. They were invested.
Totally. I mean, think about the support they offered. The tutorials, the documentation, the webinars. It was like having a YF team member right there with you.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They didn't skimp on that stuff, which makes a huge difference. So, okay, fast forward to today. We're talking 300,000 plus websites using their plugins, right?
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. Millions in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more than just numbers, right? They've legitimately helped thousands of businesses grow, made it possible for people to sell online who might not have been able to otherwise.
And they shared what they learned along the way, didn't keep it all secret, which I always respect.
Huge part of their legacy, for sure.
It's inspiring, honestly. They didn't just climb the ladder, they turned around and helped others up too. And it all comes back to those core things, right? Seeing a need, adjusting it really well, and then building that community around it.
Nailed it. Vision, execution, community. That's the YS story.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into YITH. They're a prime example of how you can build a powerhouse business by focusing on your users, on quality, and on constant improvement. Definitely a company to learn from no matter what industry you're in. So until next time, keep those brains churning and those businesses growing.